Yes, this is Bigfoot cooking, but no, we're not cooking today. I have come across a mother load of cast iron, and all of this stuff is pretty rough looking, but that's okay. Today, we're gonna work on bringing this stuff back from the dead. I mean, take a look at some of this stuff. This is not the prettiest cast iron I've seen. And some of this is pretty old from what I can tell. I think I've got some of the lodgeware from the 50s. I've got a piece which one is it? This one kind of gets my attention because somewhere in its life, the handle got riveted back on, or maybe it was made that way. I don't know, but these are genuine certified antiques. And today we're gonna bring them back from the dead. That's right, Bigfoot cooking, but today, well, we're cooking the cookware. So let's get started. All right, now our first victim of the day, like I say, I don't know where this one comes from. On the back of it, it's actually stamped made in Taiwan. So this is pretty lightweight, pretty cheap, but we're gonna use this as our beginner piece and work our way up to the giant piece. Yeah, I know, small to large. That's just the way I'm gonna attack it. And I know you've probably seen videos where they've taken and they've put them in a salt bath and they've done electrolysis. There's probably 500 different ways to bring this back from the dead, but today we're using mechanical action. Today, I've got a nice coarse, I mean really rough wire brush, and I've got some power to this guy. So I'm gonna brush all the rust off of this, try to get it down to where it's, I guess, just the cast iron itself. And once I get through with that, we're gonna wash them and we're gonna treat them and bake them and do all that good stuff. So now, I guess this is the boring part. So I'm sure y'all don't wanna watch me sit here and brush 5,000 pieces. So I'm just gonna fast edit this. So I hope you enjoy the quickness. Now, actually though, before I get started, we are gonna be wearing a mask today because doing it this way, we're gonna put a lot of iron in the air, and I'm sure breathing that much metal in probably is not good for your lungs. I'm pretty sure you don't wanna be sitting here coughing up, well, every little bit of rust that you can have. So let me prep up here. All right, well, let's get this party started. You know what I did forget? A little hearing protection. This is loud. All right, we've got one of them down. I did notice as I was doing it, there's actually a pattern inside of this. I couldn't even see it because there was so much rust buildup. It's got a little circular pattern to it. And on the back, it says 8-inch skillet, Taiwan H2. So if any of you cast iron fanatics out there can tell me more about this, great. But for now, this is the first of our restorations, all cleaned up. Like I say, washing comes next, but well, let me chop the rest of these guys. Whew. Lord. Is my mask dirty? Oh yeah. This definitely was worth using. Now, this took about 30 minutes to do, so it was a bit of work, but I figure doing it all at once, kind of in a big batch, that way we can clean everything at once and we can season everything at once. We'll save a lot of time. That way, yes, you can do this one at a time, but why when I have so many pieces? So now it's time to do the real cardinal sin. I know I've probably got things in the comment box where it's like, oh my God, you used one of those? You put a wire brush on cast iron? Do you see what I started with? Holy crap. Yes, I did. But now we're gonna do the real sin. We're gonna take the red buckets, we're gonna put soapy water in one and clean water in the other, and we're going to wash our cast iron. Do you know how every fiber inside of me right now is? It's like, no, you never wash cast iron with soap and water. Well, this is the only exception. I mean, Lord knows I got to wash my hands. Why not wash the cast iron? Part of it is to get rid of all the rust that's on here from where, even though the grinder did a good job of getting most of it off, you've still got embedded rust particles and everything inside the pores of the metal. So we're going to wash it to get all of that out. Now, is it going to rust? Yes. As soon as you put it in this water and pull it out, we're going to see rust spots, but we're going to oil it afterwards, and then we're going to season the pans up. So let's get started on the next part. Let me take 5 minutes though. I'll be right back. All right. So now we've got everything set up for this. Let's go ahead and fill the tubs. We're going to do the Hosus Lecoloticus. Oh, magic's a little slow, but it's working good today. All right, now I'm going to show y'all something that y'all may not understand, but this is a Gen X trick from way back in the day. Y'all know what we did when we were thirsty? We took a water hose and we would drink from it. And believe it or not, most of us are still alive. You don't have to have everything bottled. Sometimes this is just as good as everything else. All right, I think we probably got enough water here. Drip, drop, time to stop. Turns off better than it turns on. All right, now for washing this stuff, fellas, there's one strong recommendation I have. When you get the towels to dry this off, make sure you check with the wife and that you're getting the dog towels and not the proper guest towels, because you might get them a little dirty and you might get into some trouble. Now for the washing part, there's actually, I don't know if you guys have ever seen these. They're actually for cast iron cleaning. I don't know if I'm going to need it for this one, but I'm definitely going to need a green pad. So we'll drop that in. We'll give it a good razzle dazzle worth of soap because, well, we're dealing with some dirty, dirty cast iron. All right. I might even have clean hands at the end of this too. You never know. So let's start with our first victim. Oh, soapy water and cast iron. Ow. Let's go ahead. You want to scrub it real good and get, like I say, all the grindings that you put back into it. You want to get all of that out of it. And like I say, you're going to make the pot rust. It's going to happen, but it's not a big deal because we're fixing to go right back into it and season it all up. A little wash, a little rinse, and a little drip dry. Now, speed time. Let me do them all real quick. Now, if y'all are wondering how effective this is and like how much rust dust gets left behind, take a look at them pretty soap suds right there. That is the reason why you've got to wash this out after doing all this to it. You're basically, well, we are restoring it. And like I say, iron is good for you at a certain amount, but I think the recommended daily amount of iron that you would get out of the first meal if you didn't wash it would definitely exceed what they recommend. You gotta admit, that looks a whole lot better than when we started, but we ain't done yet. We still got some work to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and dry all these off and, well, next, seasoning. And I don't mean spring, summer, or fall. I mean, I don't want stuff to stick, seasoning. Now, before I do the oiling on this, go ahead and take a look at some of the texture on this. Some of this is like really smooth finish, and some of it is pretty rough. I mean, it's kind of surprising the difference in textures that you have with, different manufacturers of cast iron. I mean, like I said, I've got a bullseye pattern on one. This guy right here, slick as owl snot, and some of these others, pretty rough. But once we get them all set up, they become non-stick, and that's what we're after here. Because if you tried to cook eggs on this right now, we'd have to start over. You'd never get the egg off. And for this, I'm just using regular vegetable oil. There's nothing fancy about this. I know there's several different brands, several different types. People have their preferences, but I'm just really using just regular vegetable oil. I'm gonna pour a good little bit in here. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take a napkin or a paper towel, and we are gonna get this guy nice and heavily soaked and involved. And basically, you just take the pan and you are gonna put a heavy coat, and don't miss none of it. Get the outside, the inside, the handles, the little edges, all of it. I mean, super soak this thing with the oil, because it's gotta soak back into the metal, because we've done everything we could to get all the finish and oil and everything out of it. And two, well, this is again the beginning of the non-stick part of cast iron. So I'm on, just like you've seen a few times today, I'm gonna zip through the boring part here, get this on fast forward, and oil up all these guys. And again, heavy amount of oil. I mean, just about to the point where it's running off and you can barely hold it in hand. Now y'all remember, we just washed and dried all of these, and I'm still pulling, like I say, some of the rust out of the metal itself. Like I say, these things were in pretty bad shape, but like, we're getting there. Well, I mean, this is almost the last step. My hands are oily, everything's greasy, and so now it's time to go ahead and load them. You can put these in the oven. Well, like I say, I've got a bunch of them, so you'd have to have a real big oven. But you can put these in the oven and you can bake them in there. But in this case, I'm actually gonna take my smoker and set it on as high as it will go. And we're gonna do all these at the same time in the smoker. That way, I mean, the oil does have a little bit of a smell when you do it in the house. And the nice thing is, being on the smoker and outside, you don't have to deal with that smell. It's big brain stuff right there. So now, let's move the cameras and set up over there by the smoker, so that way we can get these guys a baking. All right, I know it's kind of dark to see in here, but we've got all our cast iron set in here. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna put the smoker, we're gonna set it, flip it on, turn it to absolute max. We want this as hot as we can go. And I'm gonna leave the door open until the smoke's gone, because, well, I'm not trying to smoke my cast iron, but I didn't want to put it in there with it hot either. So once we get everything here, once it gets up to temp, I'm gonna shut it, I'm gonna let it go and give it about an hour to sit here and just bake cookware. I know it still sounds odd, but this is how you get the finish on it. After it cooks for an hour, I'm just gonna come over here, turn it off and leave it alone. I'm gonna leave the door closed. I'm not gonna touch this thing until it cools back down. Once it cools down, I'm gonna pull them out, oil everything back up, repeat the process, let it heat up, cook, and cool down, and then I'll do it one more time. So we're gonna run this 3 separate times. That way that coating just kind of gets on there nice and thick. And the whole purpose of this, honestly, is this guy right here, the big chili pot. Oh, did I give away what's coming soon? I wanted that big pot for a show that's coming up. So we've got everything stripped, cleaned, and oiled. I was telling Benson about this, and he said he had a little something to add to the show. He's on vacation, I don't know, so let's check in with Benson and see what he has to say.
You know, while you're at home, I'm just taking in the beach. It's so nice. You know what? I'm thinking it's time to go skinny dipping. Let me get this off real quick. Oh yeah. Freedom, baby. Shh, don't tell nobody. I'm gonna find me a mermaid.
All right, so we did our hour of cooking, and I've actually had to give it about an hour and a half to cool down, because one, cast iron's hot and it keeps the heat. It don't just let it go. So literally after sitting here for an hour and a half, these guys, one, look a whole lot different. Two, I can finally touch them again, because they were pretty warm. And I tell you what, the finish on them, I mean, you guys saw how rusty these things were. And these things have turned out great. Now I've got the first coat done. I'm actually gonna, where I did the oiling on it, I'm actually going to do 3 coats of that. But I mean, you guys don't need to stick around and watch 3 of the same exact thing. But just, I wanted to kind of show you guys how these have taken on such an amazing brand new look. And you guys saw how bad this stuff was before. I mean, to re-season and redo these, it's not difficult. Yes, it takes a little time to do, but in truth, I don't see any reason why you guys couldn't find cast iron at a heck of a deal and re-season these. Like I say, I did this in a smoker, but you could do it in the oven in your house and just, well, start your cast iron journey in life. Highly recommend it. It's a great cook service. This is something that, in all honesty, this stuff right here will go to my kids one day. When I get tired of cooking, you know, when I get tired of being this boy right here, well, they're going to have themselves some fine cast iron. So all I can say is, guys, keep doing the do. And remember that Bigfoot is real. And he's really going to break these things in real soon. Because like I say, I see deer chili in this thing real soon. Like maybe before Christmas. Y'all take care. See ya. But we ain't done yet. We still got some work to do. Whew. This is tired. I think I'm getting dirty. All right. Now my